All right, so today we are going to be looking at some drive and space, some pass and cut, some drive and kick basketball drills. So these basketball drills that we're looking at, they're mainly to teach a continuous motion offense. We're trying to enforce those concepts of a motion offense, right? Oftentimes as coaches, when we coach and we teach that motion offense, we want to run that 5 out over and over and over again, or situational plays over and over and over again, but we should also run drills that enforce those principles as well. So we're going to look at about 4 to 5 plays right here that really enforce those principles, get your teams moving, but still teach that drive and kick, pass and cut, fill a spot type of offense that we want in a motion offense. Let's take a look at these drills.
Okay, so for this basketball drill, we're going to have 2 lines above the 3-point line. Each line can have 2 to 3 athletes. We want the basketballs in both of these lines. So as we can see, we have a line here on this side on the right side, and a line here on this side on the left side. Now, what we're going to be working on is passing and cutting, right? Passing and cutting. That's going to be, the consistent thing that we're working on here. Okay, so let's say we start this drill with this line on the right side. Now, it's important that this is one of those drills where it's going to be continuous movement, right? It's going to be continuously moving. We're moving. There isn't really a lot of stopping here on this play. Okay, so we want to work on passing and cutting, but we also want to work on paint touches. Okay, so we can kind of have this person outside the 3-point line if we're dealing with an older team. If we're dealing with a younger team, you might want to move them in a little bit. Okay, maybe these lines can also move over here a little bit more if we have them a little bit too wide to start. Okay, so we're going to start with number 1 who has the basketball. And what number 1 is going to do is they're going to drive hard to the basket. Now, we want to force the idea of getting a paint touch. Now, it depends how high you want to put this wing player, so we put them right here, right? We want to enforce the idea of getting a paint touch, right? That's what we want. If we're working on, continuous movement and continuous motion, and even though this is, kind of a warm-up style of a drill, we still want to implement those strategies. Okay, we attack the paint, we force, defensive we force the defense to collapse off of our penetration, and that is how we get the ball moving on a 5-out motion offense. We want to, enforce those principles. So number 1 is going to cut hard to the key, right? They want to get, as close to a paint touch as possible. And then they're going to kick the ball out, and they're just going to run a basic give and go, right? They give to, number 7 in this line, and then they receive the ball back. And then number 1 is going to go up for a layup after receiving the basketball. Okay. Now, as number 1 goes up for that layup, number 7 here is following their pass, and they're getting the rebound. Okay. After number 1 goes up for that layup, they're going to continue moving, and then they're going to fill this wing. Okay. Number 7 gets the rebound. They're dribbling back to the back of the line with the basketball. Okay. Ball goes to the front of the line again. And now we run the exact same play, the exact same drill over here on this side of the floor. Number 4 is going to cut to the basket hard. They're going to get that paint touch, or at least, attempt to get a paint touch. Then we want to, hypothetically, have a situation here where the defense would collapse. So we kick it out. Number 4 continues to cut. They have their hands up for a target looking for the basketball, right? It's a big important thing. We want to even work on the little things, the smaller fundamentals, right? We have our hands up. We look for the basketball. Number 1 is going to give the ball back to number 4. Number 4 goes up for that layup. Number 1 is following the pass. Number 4 continues to move. They fill this side, right? Number 1 is getting the rebound, and then they're filling the back of this line. So number 1 comes to the back of this line with the basketball. Basketball's over here now. Now we're reset. So as you can see, it's continuous movement. Number 2, right? They're getting that paint touch. They're going to kick the ball out. They're going to look for the ball back. They're going to receive it. Right, number 2 is going to go up for the layup. Number 4 is going to follow their pass. Number 2 goes up for the layup. Right, they're continuously moving. They're then filling this line. Number 4 is getting the rebound. They're going to the back of this line. Right, my lines are kind of getting messed up here, but you understand what we're looking at. So overall, we have our continuous movement. Right, we're basically the whole drill is just steady go, steady go, steady go. We're not really slowing down at all. We're not really stopping. We're continuously moving. So it's achieving 1, a warm-up, right? We're warming up our team. But also number 2, right? We're working on passing and cutting. We're working on, something that will be essential to a continuous movement, to a continuous motion offense, which is we penetrate the defense, we force them to collapse, we kick the ball out, we look for the ball back, we have our hands up for a target, right? It's a continuous movement. And even though, it is just a warm-up drill, it sets the tone for the rest of the practice. It sets the tone for what we want to achieve, which is continuous movement on the offensive end.
Now, basically, with this particular drill, what we're going to teach the athletes is basically how to handle a double team, right? Once we get our paint touch, how to handle a double team, which will eventually result in them understanding the concepts of the motion offense. We're also going to teach the athletes that when you pass the ball, there's a good chance in a motion offense that you will eventually get the ball back and you will be the one that receives the shot. We look at this drill right now, it's going to go back to the initial person with the basketball after the ball already moved around the floor. And lastly, we're going to teach the athletes how to swing the basketball, which is obviously a super important concept with the motion offense. You want the athletes to be able to swing the ball from side to side. So 3 kind of key concepts to a motion offense that we're looking at here. Now, as you can see, we have 4 lines right here, a line right here, a line right here, a line right here, and a line right here. So instead of 3, like we did in our last drill, we're now incorporating a 4th person, which is 1 step closer to our 5 out. So basically, what we're going to do with this play, we're going to have athletes line up into 4 separate lines. It doesn't necessarily need to be 4 people in each line, especially if you have limited numbers. You could have 2 people in each line. You could have sometimes even 1 person in each line. It doesn't really matter too much how many people are in each line. You just want 4 separate spots on the floor, similar to how we have them right here. The balls are always going to start in this line right here, the line where we start the drill. So for us right now, this is our white line. So the first thing that we're going to do in this drill, we want the person with the basketball to get a paint touch. So we're going to have number 1 drive to the basket and get inside the paint. Now, what we're going to mimic right now is if there were to be a double team, maybe inside the paint, how do we then get our motion offense going? How do we get our read and react continuous offense going? So number 1 is going to be driving to the paint and getting that paint touch. And like I said, we want to mimic a double team right here. So what we're going to have number 1 do when they get that paint touch is they're going to kick the ball out to the green line over here. Okay, so when number 1 kicks the ball out to the green line, they're then going to fill a spot right here. So what we're mimicking right now is, okay, now what does number 1 do? They need to go fill another spot. So number 1 in the blue line is going to come up here and fill another spot. Now what we're going to have happen is number 1 swing the basketball to the purple line, right? Number 1 in the green line. They're going to swing the basketball to the purple line. They're going to swing the basketball right here to this new number 1. And they're going to swing the basketball back to number 1 in this line. And this number 1 is going to drive it to the basket, and they are going to get a wide open layup. So again, what we're teaching here is when you pass the ball to get a motion offense started, there's a good chance that you will get the ball back, right? This white number 1 started right here. Now they finished the drill with getting the wide open layup. We're also teaching the concept of swinging the ball, right? As we see, the ball went from side to side all the way back right here, and we had the wide open layup. So now we'll have the ball reset. So this blue person will go back to the blue line. They'll move to the back of the line. Number 1 will go back to their line. They'll move to the back of the line. Purple will go to the back of the line, and green will go to the back of the line. Now we have our number 2s ready to go. And they're going to do the same thing. Number 2 here is driving to the paint, right? They are going to mimic a double team. And what we're going to have is 2 kick the ball over to green. They're going to fill over here. And as that happens, blue is going to move up. And we get that ball swing all the way back over. Number 2 is going to drive it to the paint and get a wide open layup. Now, if you want to start incorporating more into this, if you have an advanced team and they're starting to understand these concepts a little bit, you can even add now another, pass right here and maybe have number 2 shoot, a wide open jump shot in the green line, once we get another paint touch right here. So again, this is a pretty continuous drill. It's not a drill that's going to see a lot of crazy action, but what we want to basically reinforce here to the athletes
is the concept of getting in the paint and swinging the basketball from side to side, swinging the ball, swinging the ball, swinging the ball continuously, which is what we want in a continuous motion offense, right? Again, we want to teach them the concepts rather than a robotic play. Now, if we do these concepts over and over and over again, they're eventually going to understand them. Again, this is something that I would teach in a warm up in the beginning of practice for a few weeks before I go into my 5-out motion offense. And then even when I have my 5-out motion offense, I would use this drill a little bit more at the beginning of practice to just reinforce, those tactics that we're going over and how to play basketball the right way in a continuous setting.
All right, so this basketball drill is named Basonia. And basically, what we're going to look at here is the drive and kick action, right? We want to teach our teams to drive into the paint and get a paint touch and then be able to kick the ball out to one of our teammates, right? We want to mimic that motion offense style of movement, that continuous motion style of movement, right? That we would get in a motion offense, right? And when we go to teach motion offense, we want to teach continuous movement. We have to use drills like this to teach concepts, right? We don't want to teach robotic plays. We want to teach concepts, okay? So what we're going to focus on in this drill, like I said, is getting a paint touch. So we want to, teach our teams to focus on driving to the basket hard, right? Driving to the paint hard and getting that paint touch in the key, right? Because when we get that paint touch in the key by driving through the middle, that is how we're going to open things up for the rest of our teammates, okay? So to start this drill, we're going to start with the basketball is down here on the wings, okay? We also have, like I said, a player up top here at the three-point line extended. Okay, so what's going to happen here is number 4 is going to start by pushing the ball out to one of our wings, okay? As they do that, number 4 is now going to fill the back of this line, okay? So they're going to follow their pass. Number 4 right here, actually, before we have number 4 move, we're going to have that same action mimic right here. Number 2 is going to feed the ball up to number 1, and then they're going to fill the back of this line. Now, as that's happening, number 4 is driving hard to the basket. They're mimicking that paint touch. So with the basketball, number 4 is driving hard to the basket, and they're going to kick the ball out to number 3. As that happens, number 4 is going to fill the back of the line. Now, again, as this happening, number 1 is driving toward the middle. And they are kicking the ball out to number 5, and they're now filling this line. That same movement is going to continue. Number 3 is going to swing the ball up. Number 2 is going to get that paint touch. Number 5 is going to swing the ball up. They're moving up. Number 2 with the basketball is going to kick the ball out to number 1 over here. They're going to fill their spot. Okay, as we see, number 3 came up here and filled the spot. Number 4 now is driving to the basket. As number 4 drives to the basket, they're going to kick the ball out here. Right, they're then filling this spot. Number 5 is going to push the ball toward number 1 is going to push the ball toward number 5. So it's that continuous movement of we're passing the ball from here to here, right? And then we are passing the ball from here to getting in the paint and then kicking it out here to another wing. So it's that continuous movement. We're ripping and going toward the paint, and then we're kicking it out to one of our wings. Okay, so let's take a look at this drill. So we're going to start right here with a line of players, and these players are going to start with the basketball in their hand. So as we can see here, we have number 1 with the basketball, number 2 with the basketball, number 3 with the basketball. So these players are starting with the basketball. Now here in this position, number 6, again, the numbers don't really matter. I'm just using those to label each player. But number 6 here, the person in this spot, they are standing under the basket in a rebounder's position. So they're going to be rebounding the basketball. Here, number 4 and number 5, they're going to be the players that will be swinging the basketball from side to side, adding that one more pass. So those 2 players are going to be the players that are really focusing on moving the basketball, right? That one more philosophy. You want to preach to your players one more. Always make that extra pass when there is the opportunity to do so. So if you can make that extra pass, if you can make that one more pass, you do it. Right? So how this is going to start, number 1 right here with the basketball, they're going to drive with the basketball to the paint and get a paint touch. So they're going to drive about right here with the basketball. Okay, so the biggest thing that we want to focus on when we're teaching our offense, especially with this particular drill, is it has to start with a paint touch. Now, generally speaking, in an offensive setting, if your paint touch comes from a cut or a drive or a pick and roll, whatever that may be, as long as you get that paint touch, you're able to get your offense moving because you're able to get the defense to collapse, right? So we want to get the offense moving by having a paint touch. And here's what this drill is going to preach, right? We get in the paint. So number one gets in the paint right now. And number one then is going to pass the ball out to number four. So they are mimicking a situation where maybe number four's defender leaves them and comes on to number one to run a double team in the key. So number one is passing the ball to number four. And what number four is going to do then is they're going to make that extra pass, that swing pass over here to number five. Okay. So now we're set up like this. We have the ball swung from side to side. Now, in terms of the players that are passing the ball, they're going to follow their pass. So number one is going to follow their pass, and they're going to come to this spot. And number four is going to follow their pass, and they're going to come then to this spot. What number five is then going to do is attack the basket for a layup. Okay? If you want, with your team, if you want to, focus on swinging the ball from side to side and getting an outside jump shot, that's okay too. You can have number five shoot the basketball. But for the sake of this drill right now, we'll just say that number five is going to attack and go up for a wide open layup. Okay, so after number five goes up for that layup, they're then going to take this spot in line. And number six, the rebounder spot, they are going to get the rebound. Okay, after number six gets the rebound, they're going to do a full court sprint, pushing the basketball up all the way down here and attacking the basket for a layup. So number six is moving down, they're attacking this basket for a layup, and then the drill will reset. Number six will come back here to the back of the line, right? And now number two will run the same process. They're driving to the paint, right? Number two is driving to the paint. They're going to pass the basketball over here to number one, right? Number one swinging it to number four, and now number four will drive to the basket. But like I said, if you want to preach, swinging that basketball and getting an outside jump shot, you can do that as well.